Okay, guys. So in this tutorial, we're gonna put what we just worked on into practice. So if you open your SQL workbench, it's probably gonna open a new file. If it doesn't, just tap on this button here, or if you're using the Windows, there'll probably be the file button. Then you just create a new file. Um, so in this case, we're gonna create the database we created using our Excel sheet. So to create a database, you're going to run create database. Our database name was Data Hub. And you should always remember, anytime you run a line of SQL code, you need to end it with a semicolon. If I write several lines of code without running each yet, and I want to run all of them together, I'm just going to hit this button. But then if maybe I've written like several code and I want to run each line by line, I'm just going to leave the mouse at the end here and then click on this button to like just execute a statement, just a line or like a statement. So every statement ends with a semicolon. So I could write this way and I leave this here and click here and it's going to run this code. But to be on the safer side, what I usually do is whether a line or a particular statement or several statements, I stick to this. So you can just stick to this so you wouldn't get confused. And what I always do is whatever statement I write, I try to like select all of it and then just hit run. When you come to your output button, sorry, ignore the other statement, we could see here that create database data hub has been created. When your statement runs without any error, you're going to get this green check mark there. When there's an error, you're going to get a red X. So pay attention to that. Okay, so now we've created the database. We've created a database data hub. And in SQL, after you create a database, you need to run use data hub, your database name, because your server probably has different databases you've created. You need to like let it know which database you're trying to use. So after you create, you're going to run use data hub, and then we're going to execute that. And you can see it's working as well. Our next point here is we need to create the tables we spoke about. So we had a table called students, and to create a table, we do create table students. The fascinating thing about this is when you're creating a table in SQL, you create the columns within the table statement. So we're going to create the columns we had in our table in Excel. We had student ID. We had name. Sorry, comma. We had name. We had age. We had age, and we had school. One thing you should know is when you create a database or you create a column, your database needs to know what data type your columns need to have. So if you remember, student ID was our primary key. So before we come to that, I want to talk about the data type. Student ID in this case could be just numbers or could be a mixture of numbers and letters. So to be on the safer side, it depends on your schema, what you're trying to use to define your columns. But I'm going to use a varchar because most student IDs here are a mixture of numbers and letters. And when you're using the data type varchar, you're supposed to allocate space for it. So student ID could have 20 here. So you see, now we don't have any red sign, any error there. It means this is perfect. So let's create a data type for name. We're using varchar for the student's name in this case, and age is number, so it takes an integer. Integer in as a data type is referred to as int in SQL, and then the school is a varchar again in this state. Let's just allocate it 50 because I know in the Excel file I wrote some of the school names as an abbreviation, but someone might decide to write out the full name of the school, and if the space you allocated is less than the number of characters the person have, you're going to run into an error. So now our columns have data types attached to it. So student ID here was a primary key. How do we let our database know student ID is a primary key? That is where we have you write primary key attached to it. Then voila, our student ID has been created. It has data type voucher and it's we are letting the database know that's our primary key. Let's try running this and see if we get we don't run into any error. We run. Oh yeah, we didn't run into any error. Says here created create like yeah, we have the green check mark. So now this is our schema. Maybe your when you open your SQL workbench, you might be here to see the database you created. Just tap on the schema, and when you refresh it, you're going to see all databases you have. In this case, we created the Data Hub database. It's currently bolded because that's the database we're using now. So to find the table we just created, you're going to like extend this. Then you'll see the students table there. Okay, now let's try inserting the rows into our table. So to insert rows, you're gonna um, insert into. You run insert into. So insert into your table name, which is students. Students. Then you open up. Since we have four columns, we need to like specify the columns we're trying to insert into that table. So we do student ID, um, name, age, and school. Okay, so the values, student ID is a voucher. So let's say, um, let me just do one, comma. The student name was John, then comma. The student's age was 23. 23 is an integer, so we don't need to put 23 in quotes. And John's school was MSU. Then close the quote. So this is for one student's data, right? So this is us inserting one row. Let me try running this and see what we get. Good, so it worked. And I'm going to try inserting the other rows and I'll come back and explain to you guys. Oh, this is me trying to just put in like the rest of the rows. And you can see instead of running insert statement for each row, I was able to insert the rest of the rows, which are like separated with a comma. So you can insert data rows into a table simply by separating them with commas. So far as the the format, like this insert statement says you're trying to insert into four columns, right? So every data should have four columns. Every row should have data for the four columns. So if I try inserting this and then this column, I just decide, oh, this person didn't put in their school name, so I'm deleting this. You're gonna have an issue. It's not gonna insert. It should all have four rows. And yeah, I did run this and the data was added. So let's refresh the schema plane and see if we have the data inserted correctly. Let's bring us to another important, maybe the most important keyword in SQL. That is the select. So select is a way to retrieve data from a database, right? So we write it this way, we say select This asterisk sign means everything. So if I say select asterisk, it means select everything. So select everything from the table. Sorry, let me bring this down here. Select everything from students. Don't forget your semicolon. So sorry, let me okay. Select everything from students. Let's run it and see how our student table looks like. Voila, this is our student table. We have the student ID, the student's name, age, and school here. So one thing I want you to know, the select keyword always goes with the from. You're always selecting from something. Okay, guys, if you don't understand anything, please let me know in the comment section. That is why I'm here. I'm here for you guys. So in the next tutorial, we're going to be talking about foreign keys and how to join two tables together. Hope to see you guys there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. See you guys.